Welcome again to everyone. I am recording this so that we can share it with other tutors later who are missing this time together. I want you to know I am not a lawyer. I'm just a concerned citizen who realized that I really didn't know my own rights, and that if I don't know my rights, how can I stand up for them? I also realized that I don't really know what rights people who are not citizens but who reside in the United States have. So I attended a Know Your Rights presentation given by the Immigrant Defense Project, which is a national legal resource that engages in target litigation in support of challenges to deportations and other adverse immigration consequences based on criminal convictions and arrests. That sounds complicated. It is pretty complicated. I will try to explain some of that a little bit later. Their work includes advocacy for equal rights for all people. I believe their physical location is New York City, but they appear to work nationally. And at the end of this presentation, I'll share some websites with you, both theirs and Pennsylvania's Legal Immigrant Defense Council's website as well, in case you want to look at any of this in more detail. This slideshow comes from a slideshow that they presented in December of last year. So I told you that I'm not sure that I really knew what the Fourth Amendment said. And so I wanted to go back to it and read the actual Fourth Amendment, because I Googled Fourth Amendment and was told by AI that this was a citizen's right. The original wording actually says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So, as I understand this, and I know that lawyers argue this all the time in court, it is the right for individuals not to be unreasonably subjected to search and seizures, and that we do not have to follow warrants unless they are supported, unless there's probable cause and the place. You can see this is very complicated. We'll get into this a little bit more later. I'm going to stop because I'm complicating myself. We'll go on. One of the things that the Know Your Rights has made clear is that our rights are different depending on where you and your property are located. For example, private things are considered to be homes and parts of workplaces only accessible to employees. Public spaces include walking on the street, driving or riding in a car, and parts of workplaces open to the public. So we have different rights depending on where we're located. If we are on private property, ICE needs a warrant from a judge or consent to enter or search. If we're in public, they only need reasonable suspicion to make an arrest. There are a couple of caveats to this. Even though they need a warrant in a private space, they are allowed to pat down above clothing for officer safety and to inspect anything that's in plain view, because that's considered public. If you are in a public space, parts of cars like trunk or glove box and closed property like bags and pockets are actually considered private and are protected by the Fourth Amendment. The other thing to point out is that these Fourth Amendment rights, as I said earlier, apply to everyone, regardless of immigration status. So, under the law, who can be deported? You or I, as citizens of the United States, are not allowed to be deported. But people without lawful immigration status, those who have overstayed a visa, walked across a border, or arrived by boat, can be deported. People who have certain criminal convictions and have lawful immigration status but have been convicted of crimes, certain ones, they can also be deported. And people who have already been issued a deportation order, they have a post-final order, I don't know what that is, and they have not yet left, they also can be legally deported. I found this quite interesting again. So I'm going to share with you some of the video from the IDP about the political context and how we got here, because it's complicated and I don't think that I can do it justice. So just give me a moment while I figure out where I have put this screen that has it on it. Okay, it is here. And I want to share this screen. And hopefully it, wait, gotta go back, gotta make sure I share the screen properly. Stop share. Share sound. Okay, this should work.
Next slide, Janya. So in order to make sense of the current moment, we have to look back at how we got here. And this is just going to be a very brief overview. But it's just important to always recognize that since the conquest and colonial settlement of what's called the United States, immigration law has served as a key mechanism to shape the nation by creating and enforcing categories of belonging, including who is allowed to be mobile, who's allowed to stay, and who has access to socioeconomic and political rights. Constructing groups of people as threats is central to this. Who constitutes a threat for state repression shifts over time. Native Americans, formerly enslaved people, Chinese laborers who built the railroad, Japanese and Mexican Americans who were U.S. citizens, Haitians forced to migrate due to U.S. intervention, and the list goes on. The process has also included government targeting of people based on class, political ideology, and gender normativity, and more. Next, please. Jumping forward to 1996, it's just really important to recognize that this was a very significant time in terms of laying the legal foundation for today's current mass deportation and mass exclusion regime. So in the context of a very punitive turn in the federal government, in many ways a convergence of the war on crime and the war on the poor, there was a newly energized war on immigrants, where the United States passed draconian immigration laws, which have laid a strong legal foundation, as I said, for mass exclusion, detention, and deportation. These laws reinforce a legal framework that in order for some people to have the right to legal status, many more had to be excluded or removed. It deeply entangled the criminal legal system with the immigration system, making police contact a trigger to deportation for many people. It also vastly eliminated pathways to legal status, gutted the system of due process, making many subject to mandatory detention and deportation, and did much, much more to deprive rights. Next slide. All of this got turbocharged following the founding of the Department of Homeland Security after 9/11. This was the largest restructuring of the federal government since the end of World War II, bringing 22 agencies under a single sprawling entity that defines all issues as a matter of national security. The reach of DHS is global, as the 9/11 Commission said in 2003. The American homeland is the planet. Mass deportation was not a regular government function until the founding of DHS. ICE has deported close to 10 million people since its founding, close to 5 times more than in the previous 100 years combined. Next slide, please. With the legal foundation in place for mass deportation and border policing, DHS and its associated political momentum allowed for the massive expansion of federal expenditures for the Border Patrol and ICE. The budgets of these two migration policing agencies has almost tripled since the founding of DHS. And under DHS, the US has made an everywhere border, a system of mass surveillance based on the idea that certain categories of people must be monitored and managed all the time. Safety and security under DHS means more police, jails, military, punishment, and surveillance everywhere. In the case,
That's all I really wanted to show you. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint if I can find it. Here it is. And we're going to start. Well, there was a little bit more, but that's all right. Oops, that's not where I want to start. Sorry, everybody. We're going to flip through these quickly. So let's talk about our rights at home. So for residences, there are 4 types of residences: private houses, apartments, shelters, and supportive housing. In those, the residence also includes the curtilage, the area immediately surrounding a home where home-related activities take place. So right outside your doorstep, in your garage, or property enclosed by a fence or gate, especially if it's locked, and also hallways inside of apartment buildings. In these spaces, ICE must leave if they don't have a warrant and you tell them they can't be there. Key points: if ICE comes to your home, think no info, no entry, no search. These rights apply to everyone regardless of their immigration status. Don't open the door, ask ICE to leave. Identify who you're talking to, ask for an ID and a warrant. If officers are inside, ask ICE to leave. Don't give ICE documents or information. Tell them you don't want them to search. We'll go over a little bit more of this and why in a few minutes. ICE uses what they call ruses to get in. They're trained to lie to enter homes without a judicial warrant. We'll talk about what a judicial warrant looks like in just a moment. They need either a judicial warrant or the homeowner's consent to enter the home. If they don't have that, they are not supposed to enter. You have the right not to open the door. All conversations can be had with a closed door. This is not something that would have occurred to me. I naturally would open the door to someone who looks like they're in authority. I'm sure not everybody would, but I would. If you open your door a crack, ICE may push their way in, even though this is not consent for them to enter. So if someone comes to your door, identify who's at the door before you open the door and before you answer questions. Ask to see their badge, ask them for their name and to slide a card under the door. Ask if they're local police. Ask them what specific precinct they work at. Ask them if they have a warrant and to slide a warrant under the door. Take a photo of it. If they can't slide it under the door, have them hold it up to a window. An immigration warrant is not a legal warrant and does not grant them entry. Typically, ICE doesn't have a warrant signed by a judge. They have a document signed by an ICE supervisor that has the word warrant written on it. These administrative ICE warrants do not permit ICE to enter or search a home. This is the difference in how they look. This is a U.S. state district court warrant, and it would have a signature of a judge down here at the bottom right.
Hey, Lisa?
Yes?
Are you sharing your screen? Because I can't see that.
I'm not sharing my screen. Okay,
Okay.
let me try.
No
Thank
worries.
you. am I not doing right? Okay, slideshow. My colleague who was next door didn't inform me. She must have gotten off the call. Okay, let's try it again.
There we go.
Good. All right. Now, do you see the whole screen or just the judicial warrants and ICE warrants?
The whole screen. There we go. Good.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, everybody. So as you can see, they look very different. One looks like it is official and should have a signature down here to be official. The other does not look, well, it looks official, but it doesn't have the same space for a judge's signature. It would have a signature of someone, but this is not considered to be legal according to the Constitution. You can see it does say warrant for arrest of alien, whereas the other says U.S. District Court. Oh, look, I didn't know it did all of these things. Sorry. If ICE is at your door and they don't have a warrant that gives them permission to enter, you can ask them to leave, and everyone can repeat in their best language. So as well as they can, your students need to know that they don't have to have perfect English to say, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to answer any questions. I don't give you permission to come inside. Please leave a card with your name and number. I do not want to speak to you. Please leave. If they can't say this in English, they can say it in their native language. They can say these things. This is what they are allowed to do. Sometimes ICE will ignore rights. If they force their way into a home or search without consent, you can still say that you don't consent. You can say, I do not consent to you being in my home. Please leave. I do not consent to this search. I do not want to give you any documents. Anyone can say these in any language. It is okay. In public, your rights are somewhat similar. This is what is considered public space on the street, in public places at workplaces, at probation or parole hearings, at courthouses, inside courthouses, I should say, driving or riding in a car. There may be some differences in Pennsylvania than in New York. The rights that we're discussing are nationwide, but some places also have important local or state protections. I tried very hard to find out if there were any local or state protections. I was not able to. However, Literacy Pittsburgh did have the commissioner of police from Zone 2 come and speak to us 2 weeks ago. He was adamant that his zone does not cooperate with ICE, that he doesn't know of any ICE agents, and he would not be in favor of them cooperating with ICE because then they couldn't do what he considers to be their job. I found that somewhat comforting. At the same time, I've also heard other people tell stories about police outside of Zone 2 who maybe aren't following those same directives. My understanding is that Pittsburgh is a welcoming city, that the mayor, because the mayor has continued to call Pittsburgh a welcoming city, he would not be in favor of the police joining forces with ICE. In some areas, that's not the case, and they do. I do believe that ICE has rescinded its sensitive places guidance, and that this has caused churches and other places to be concerned about ICE presence, although generally it sounds like they will stay outside of the physical borders of these places and wait in parking lots, which are not private. In public, you still have the rights. You still have rights. You can ask if you're free to go. You can stay silent. You should not give false or foreign documents. You should not give them permission to search. Again, these rights apply to everyone, regardless of immigration status. ICE does not need a judicial warrant to arrest someone in public or to stop a car. But they do need reasonable suspicion to believe people are here in violation of immigration law, which is why silence is important. If they get you to start talking, it's possible that you will say something that you don't mean to say that grants them reasonable suspicion. They usually know the person they're targeting, but others nearby could also be at risk at the same time. They sometimes will collect information or fingerprints from other people who are near an arrest. What should you do if ICE asks for your name in public? This is another right that I didn't realize that I had. Everyone has the right to remain silent whenever any officer asks questions. Some tips on how to handle being asked for your name by an officer. Identify who's questioning you. Sometimes you can identify by look, but it's better to ask. Assess whether refusing to give your name will be used by ICE to escalate the situation. Assert your right to remain silent if that feels the safest in the moment. You can say, I am invoking my right to remain silent. I do not want to answer questions. Remember, you should not lie to law enforcement or give false documents. What if ICE asks for your ID in public? First, you ask if you are free to go. If they say yes, leave. If they say no, invoke your right to remain silent. And you can refuse to give your ID to ICE. Say, I do not want to give you my documents. Assess your safety. If you feel forced to show ID, consider whether you have a valid ID that does not say your place of birth or immigration status. Over and over, they emphasize not to give false documents. Again, down at the bottom here, it says some states require you to show ID to local police. I don't know what the laws are in Pennsylvania, so I can't say that is true here. I'm sorry. If you are in a car that is stopped by ICE, not by the control, by the border protection and control people, what we're talking about is specifically ICE. We aren't located within 100 miles of the border, so the Border Patrol has no, they're not allowed to operate in our area. Sorry, the word is not coming to me. If you want more information about Border Patrol, the ACLU has an infographic and facts that explain more about those stops. At the end of this slideshow, I have some local immigrant rights organizations that could give you more specific information about local trends than I have right now. If ICE stops your car, they don't need a judicial warrant to stop, but it's not always clear who's pulling over the car. And you want to stop and ask questions to find out if they're ICE, the police, highway patrol. Ask the questions listed. If ICE does stop your car, assess the situation and your safety. They sometimes can be aggressive during a car stop and might not wait for you to roll down the window or get out of the car. I find all of this really frightening, especially as we've seen officers misbehave in other instances. However, If ICE asks for your ID in a car, if you're the driver, they can demand your driver's license, but you still have the right to remain silent. If you're not a driver, I believe this is true in Pennsylvania as well. I think I looked it up and was able to confirm it. You have the right to remain silent, and you can refuse to give an ID if you're a passenger. Again, don't show false documents and don't say anything false. If they ask for your fingerprints in public, they're only allowed to take fingerprints if they have reasonable suspicion that you violated an immigration law or after they've arrested you. If you're not under arrest and they ask to take your fingerprints, ask, why am I being fingerprinted? If they start to fingerprint you and you don't want them to, say, I don't consent to giving you my fingerprints. They might still take your fingerprints, but you should repeat that you don't consent. This may help you in court. I found this line that is in several of the slides quite interesting, that repeating these phrases may not stop them, but may help you later in the process. If ICE stops you in public, they need a judicial warrant or your consent to search your bag, inside your pockets, or the glove box or trunk of your car. They cannot search these things without a warrant or your consent. Say, I don't consent to you searching me. Or say, I don't consent to you searching my belongings or my car. Now, we get into something that's a little bit trickier when we talk about rights. They still need a judicial warrant or consent to enter private areas of a business. So if you are in charge of a business, we recommend that you train staff not to talk to ICE or to give consent. And also train people, explain to people that trying to escape can put them in danger and give ICE pretense to detain them. Employers do not have to help ICE to identify or sort workers. Make the Road New York has signs at its entrances saying no law enforcement officers may enter these premises without a judicial warrant. Only co-executive directors of Make the Road New York are authorized to consent to admission. And they have this posted in Spanish as well as in English. Literacy Pittsburgh, while not overly concerned that ICE might come to our offices, has made plans in case that were to happen. We have signs posted in our main building that say students and staff only, no public access. We've been told that if a government agent arrives at our site, to be polite and courteous, to ask them to wait while we call the CEO, and not to attempt to remove, hide, or destroy any documents or delete electronic files. This is the policy that we have in place. At the end of what I have a few videos that we can watch if you're interested that demonstrate how people have actually stopped ICE from interfering with non-citizens by simply stating and restating their rights over and over again. It's really impressive to me how that has stopped ICE from taking action, simply repeating over and over, I do not consent. What should we do if we witness an ICE raid? This is another question a lot of people are asking. You should document it, and you should document it in whatever way you feel safe doing so. You can help the person's legal case by video recording or writing down details, even if you don't know the person being arrested. It can help track trends of local ICE practices. The part that becomes difficult is they do recommend that you not share it on social media, that you try to verify the information before putting it out in public, and that you share it responsibly with a trusted immigrant rights group. There is a guide available for sharing raids on social media from 2017 that I don't have downloaded, but you can go to the IDP's website and pull this slideshow down yourself if this is something that you want. I haven't personally seen anything. We've heard several reports from people. I don't know that any of them have been substantiated. However, I do know people who are convinced that they have seen things happen. Maybe they have. If you are recording a raid, you can film ICE as long as you don't interfere with their duties and you don't do it secretively. Remember, it could be dangerous to run and get a phone or to reach into your pocket, so you should be aware of the physical safety of everyone involved. You can document a raid by taking a picture or by writing down what you witnessed after the fact. If ICE officers ask you to hand over your phone, don't physically resist them, but do say, I don't consent to giving you my phone. I don't consent to a search of my phone. What should you document? Well, we should get as much information as we can. The most important documentation would be when and where the encounter occurred. How did ICE officers present themselves? Did they pretend to be police? Did they refuse to identify themselves? How many officers were there? What did they say? Did they lie to get into the home? Did they intimidate anyone or use verbal or physical force? Was consent ever given? And what was their reaction if consent was not given? So that's the end of what I have to present, other than I do have some videos. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can pull up these videos. But I'd like to know if anyone has a question that I might be able to answer. As I said to you, I am not a specialist. I do not know beyond what I've said. I know very little. But if you have a question or a comment, now is the time.
Hi, I'm Clara.
Hi, Clara.
I have not a question, but a comment,
Please.
or also kind of a question. So I've been seeing these around, called red cards.
Yes.
They have sometimes, and then at the library there are also these, which are also called red cards, but they are yellow, and they have
Yes.
in English and in another language on the back all of your rights. So like the way that they would be used is you can slip it under a door, and they have everything that you would want to say already written on them and can make the interaction as brief as possible.
Yep.
I picked these up at the Squirrel Hill Library. I'm not sure if other libraries have them or other businesses, but I did look on, let me see what the website was.
So I have put the website on the last page of this slide.
Oh, awesome.
So
Okay, cool.
anybody who wants to find those, I think, sadly, the red cards have been distributed, but you can print your own, which I suspect is what the yellow ones were.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think they're a great thing to hand out to people who may need them. Yeah. So thank you, Clara. I was going to mention those.
Gotcha.
I'm curious, would people like to see these videos? I have 3 of them. The first one is of a car stop in Hudson, New York. None of them are current, but they are within the last 5 years. I see one yes. Any other yeses?
I would like to.
Are they police getting out of line? I might be a little triggered on that. I might just go.
No, I would say
good.
not, Susan.
Okay, thanks.
Then
yes, I'd like to see it.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. If you're interested in seeing these, please stay on. If you're not interested, oh, Lindsay says we do still have some of the red cards. Okay, thanks, Lindsay. If you're not interested, that's fine. If you need to go away, you can send me an email and I can send you this presentation or link the IDP presentation for you. Just send me an email. My email is Morse, MORSE, at literacypittsburgh.org. I'd be happy to share it with you. We will be posting this on our YouTube channel, I think, later this week. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the footage of the car stop and then figure out how to share it with you. Let's see what's happening. Okay. Where is my Zoom? Zoom is here. Okay. Am I still sharing a screen?
No.
I don't know if that was a yes or a no.
No, Lisa.
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I finally found the share screen button.
No, it's not. It's a Department of Homeland Security order.
It's a warrant.
Okay. No, it's not a warrant. It's not a warrant under the Constitution of the United States.
Warrant of arrest of alien.
Yeah, warrant of arrest of alien not signed by a judge. It's not a judicial warrant. I have no obligation to oblige by that warrant.
This is a lawful warrant
Signed by a judge?
of the Immigration and Nationality Act, and an official designated with that authority.
Are you hearing this, Mark?
Yeah, I'm telling him I'm on my way.
Our attorney's on his way.
Okay. What's that gonna?
That's not a warrant.
That is a warrant.
No, it's not. It's a Department of Homeland Security order.
It's a warrant.
Okay. No, it's not a warrant. It's not a warrant under the Constitution of the United States.
It's a warrant under the Immigration and Nationality Act of the United States.
Okay, that's fine, but it's not under the Constitution. You have no jurisdiction over me as a citizen. I'm the driver of this vehicle.
Okay, are you familiar with Title 8, Section 1324 of U.S. Code?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. In what regard?
I'm studying to be a Department of Justice accredited representative, so I've been through trainings.
Okay.
And I have copies of actually, in this box right here, I have a copy of a real warrant and a copy of that, just so people know not to listen to that.
Okay, so you're aware of the statutes governing transporting and harboring illegal aliens in the United States?
I am.
Okay.
So that's the first one. I found the demeanor of the man really impressive and helped me understand how to use the statements they gave us to the best benefit. Let's see, what's the next one? Okay, this next one, this one is of a home ICE arrest in Portland, Oregon, from 2017. see, how do I do this again? Every time I do this, I get mixed up. Share.
Welcome to your 30-minute total body strength workout.
Making your thing happen. Really going for it. Doing.
You can make a phone call. I need to see your ID. No, I need to see your ID. Why not? Because I'm not letting you. I need to see your identification. Why? Yeah. Because I have reason to believe you're not in the country legally. All right? I need to see your identification.
Hey, well, I mean, has he been charged with something?
Yes, he has.
What's the charge?
I can't talk to you about that. I can talk to him about that, okay?
I understand, but I mean, there's no charges over the reason for you guys.
Person without admission in the United States of America. That's the charge.
Okay, do you guys have a warrant to come in his home?
We don't need a warrant to come in this home. No one lives here.
You do need it. We talked to the homeowner. We work with the homeowner.
Listen, I know that no one lives here. This is considered a place of business. You guys are here to work.
They live downstairs. Everything is downstairs. Their furniture is everything downstairs. It's a big home. We're finishing up so they can come back up. Her vehicle's right outside. I think you guys need to speak with her before you guys even come in here.
That's fine.
I mean, honestly, I don't think you guys should even be in here. You're basically trespassing at this moment, right now.
Okay, we asked to speak with him, and you showed us in. First of all,
I opened the door. I never told you to come in.
Okay, listen, I don't want to get into it with you.
That's fine.
Need to come and talk to him.
I'm just letting you know that right now you guys are trespassing at this very moment. This is somebody's home. We're working here, yes.
Right.
But it is vacated. It's here. The people are living here.
Where?
Her vehicle is right outside. The Tahoe?
That's theirs.
Yes. So you guys are currently trespassing at this moment. So if you guys don't have a warrant, you're kind of breaking the law. Well, you are breaking the law, basically, at this point. So I would suggest to wait outside so Cindy gets here.
Where's the homeowner? Are they here now?
So I'm going to stop that one right now because I do have another meeting I have to get to fairly soon. However, there's a third one. What happens in the end of this footage is that the guy who is presumably an illegal alien is taken out in cuffs. And that's, I think, all we know about it, is that he is removed from the home without a warrant. So there's one more, if I can figure out my system, that this one is really amazing to me. So let me get it up.
El niño. Está saliendo el niño en este momento. Está saliendo también el señor. Y bueno, ya está. Muchas gracias por todo. De verdad se los agradezco por el apoyo de todo corazón. Gracias.
These are a couple of ICE officers currently in Nashville. They've identified themselves as Immigration Customs Enforcement, but they have not said so far their names or what office they're from. Is it possible to say?
You can go talk to the attorney or the immigrant rights group. They already know who we are. We're not going to identify ourselves to the public out here. We don't need to identify ourselves.
They don't bother nobody, and this is illegal.
Señora, ¿han traído ustedes gasolina?
Yeah.
It hurts to see people go through what they're going through. Now, I understand that if they didn't take the proper procedure to be United States citizens, you know, maybe they didn't know how to do it. You know, maybe they waited too late, you know, but just the way that you go about it, you know, it could be done in a fashion, in a modern way where it could be respectful.
Yeah, about Gatorade and everything.
Okay, but
as far as y'all know, like, there's no, like, threat to public safety. There's no, like, the person here, y'all are not looking for them. Nope. There is no, to y'all's knowledge, no reason why they would be in trouble with the law here in Nashville for any local law enforcement reason.
On them.
Okay.
From Davidson.
Just making a chain around the family so they can go into their into their home safely, you know, like knowing that there's people between them and the outside.
Está saliendo el niño. Está saliendo el niño en este momento. Está saliendo también el señor. Y bueno, ya están a salvo. Me están aplaudiendo porque defendieron a esta familia.
Muchas gracias por todo, de verdad se los agradezco por el apoyo de todo corazón, gracias.
Estas son las palabras de esta esposa, de esta madre que hoy está. Tenías miedo de que ya no se llevaran a tu esposo. Coméntanos por qué se fueron, qué dijeron, no tenían los elementos suficientes para llevárselo.
De hecho, no sé exactamente por qué se fueron, pero sabemos la razón número uno, es que los vecinos se movilizaron y la gente de Nashville se movilizó. El hecho de que dos concejales vinieron acá tiene efecto. El hecho de que hay como 20, 30 personas que se movilizaron solo con un aviso, una llamada, es la razón por qué se fueron.
Exacto.
Me imagino que hay algo técnico, pero en realidad es porque el pueblo está unido.
So I have one more slide for you. Let me find it again. And I included it in case you wanted to take a picture of it, really. So let me get it up. It has let's go here. Have I done? And slideshow. Let me try it again. Current slide. Okay. Am I sharing right now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay. No, it's not sharing. It's not sharing, huh? It's supposed to be sharing. Let's try again. There we go. Share. All right. Now I'm sharing, yes?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. My apologies, everyone. Feel free to take a screenshot or a photo of this if you'd like. This is where everything came from. The Immigrant Defense Project has a train your trainer presentation on their website, which includes those videos that I showed, as well as a lot of other information that I did not go over with you because I don't feel at all able to address questions.